Yo, time to wake 'em up!
Bonjour et bienvenue sur Discover 360. J'espère que cette chaîne vous plaira. Elle est consacrée à l'intelligence artificielle, au voyage et à la tech.
Yo, check the mic, 1, 2.
N'oubliez pas de souscrire. Bonne écoute.
Next cipher begin.
Everybody's talking about AI and productivity, right? But what's really going on inside companies, beyond all the hype? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden costs, the real human impact, and explore a pretty powerful idea for the future of work. Let's dive in.
Now, this isn't some forecast about the future. This is happening right now. A recent study from LHF found that a staggering 46% of companies, yep, almost half, have already laid off staff because of AI. This isn't a small shift. It's a massive change happening as we speak.
So, here's how we're going to break this all down. First up, we'll look at this mad dash for productivity that's taken over the corporate world. Then, we'll get into something called the cost paradoxe, and trust me, it's a big one. After that, we'll talk about the human side, what this all means for our own skills. And finally, we'll wrap up with a really promising solution, the human guarantee.
Right now, in boardrooms everywhere, the game is simple. Use AI to do more with less. Companies are in an absolute sprint to adopt artificial intelligence, all in the name of boosting productivity, and, let's be honest, making investors happy. And the result? A huge wave of layoffs that are being framed as just, the price of progress.
And this quote from Jack Dorsey at Block, it just says it all, doesn't it? He was crystal clear when his company announced plans to slash its workforce by about 40% as part of a pivot to an AI-powered model. The thinking here is pretty clear. AI isn't just a helper, it's a replacement for a whole lot of people.
In Wall Street? Oh, they are loving this strategy. When Block made that announcement, their stock jumped nearly 18%. And it's the same story everywhere you look. All-inclusive in France, giants like IBM, Microsoft, Accenture, they're all cutting thousands of jobs, blaming it on AI, and the market is cheering them on.
Okay, so on one hand, it looks like a no-brainer, right? Cut staff, save money. But is it really that simple? Well, not even close. The story everyone's telling seems to be missing the other side of the balance sheet, the absolutely mind-boggling cost of building out this AI future. So let's take Microsoft. They've reported saving a cool $500 million in just 1 year, thanks to AI making things more efficient in their call centers and so on. On the surface, that sounds amazing, a huge win for technology. But wait for it, here's the twist. At the same time, Microsoft announced they're planning to invest $80 billion in a single year, mostly on the data centers they need to run all this AI. All of a sudden, that $500 million in savings looks like pocket change, doesn't it?
And it's not just us saying it. People online did the math pretty quickly. As one person pointed out, at that rate, you're looking at a return on your investment in about, 160 years. This really shows that this simple idea of fire people, save money is, well, it's way more complicated than that. And get this, the rabbit hole goes even deeper. The craziest part is that for some industries, all this spending isn't even leading to more productivity. Take a look at US banking. For more than a decade, they poured billions into AI and new tech. And the result? Their productivity didn't just flatline, it actually went down. That's pretty powerful proof that just throwing technology at a problem doesn't automatically fix it.
Okay, so the economics are, let's just say, complicated. But there's another cost, a human cost, that we're just starting to wake up to. What happens to all of us when our main job is to just hand off our thinking to a machine? We're talking about the very real possibility that our most important skills could start to fade away.
The fancy term for this is cognitive offloading. It's basically what happens when we use technology as a crutch instead of as a tool. If we're constantly letting AI write our reports or analyze data for us, what happens to our own ability to do those things? Those mental muscles for deep, critical thinking can start to get weak. We're essentially outsourcing our own brains.
And this isn't just some academic theory. A study from EY found that more than a third of employees are already worried about this. They're concerned that relying too much on AI is going to make their own skills worse. So this isn't a future problem, it's a real anxiety people are feeling in the workplace right now.
And the risks just pile up from there. You've got the obvious one, cognitive decline. But then there are more subtle things, like moral distance, where we start to feel less responsible for what an algorithm decides. Or AI hallucinations, where the tool just makes stuff up. And then there's shadow AI, which is basically people using unapproved, unsecured AI tools just to get their work done.
All this together, it doesn't just threaten one person's job, it threatens the entire intellectual foundation of a company.
So, with a shaky economic model and the very real risk of de-skilling the workforce, where do we go from here? Is it all doom and gloom? Well, no. This brings us to a really powerful and frankly optimistic idea that's gaining a lot of steam: the human guarantee. So what exactly is this human guarantee? Simply put, it's a principle that says there has to be meaningful human supervision and control over AI systems. It's not an afterthought, it's built right into the design. Kind of like how you always have a human pilot in the cockpit, even when the plane's on autopilot. It's about making sure a human is always in the loop, especially when the stakes are high.
And listen, this isn't just some pie-in-the-sky idea. It's actually being written into law as we speak. It's a key part of France's bioethics law, it's central to WHO guidelines for AI in healthcare, and it's right there in the EU's Big AI Act. This idea is quickly becoming the global standard for doing AI responsibly.
So what does it actually look like to put this into practice? Well, it rests on 4 key pillars. First, ultimate human control. Someone can always pull the plug. Second, user autonomy, which means people can understand, question, and even ignore the AI suggestion. Third, and this is huge, an active focus on skill maintenance to fight that cognitive decline we talked about. And finally, regular audits to make sure the system is working as it should.
Now, this is super important. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach. As this chart shows, the human guarantee is flexible. For a simple decision support tool, the oversight might be pretty light. But for a high-stakes automated system, say in medicine, you bet you're going to want a much higher level of human control. It's all about matching the supervision to the risk. And when you put all this together, it leads to this huge shift in thinking. The goal is no longer replacement, it's collaboration. The human guarantee reimagines AI as an augmented collaborator. It's a tool that takes care of the grunt work, freeing up our brains to focus on the things we humans do best: strategy, creativity, critical thinking, and empathy.
So at the end of the day, it all boils down to this one fundamental choice. When we look at performance tomorrow, are we going to measure it by how well we can replace people, or by how brilliantly we can orchestrate the collaboration between humans and machines? The answer to that question is going to define everything.